Round two, we've got Joel Gibbons on Viscerai Runeblood and Harry Kaloyirou on Starvo. Bravo, star of the show.
It's one of a big three versus a big three. What are people going to be interested to see? Can you take down the Starvo menace?
Yeah.
So, a little bit of a David versus Goliath kind of setup.
Interesting. I think when we say big three, what we mean is that the three probably best decks in the meta against a random opponent are Prism, Starvo, and Viscerai. Also against the meta as such. Starvo Viscerai, I think, is probably closer to a 50-50. Like, if Viscerai does well, on a good game for Viscerai, I think they can definitely get there. It's just, can they... There's kind of two plans you can go. One is trying to keep up pressure on the Starvo, and one is trying to do a bit of damage at the start, then rack up rune chance, and try and hit them with a combo turn.
Yeah.
On either of those plans, if your plan works out, and your deck is built to optimize that, like your sideboard can let you create a pretty optimal version of whichever of those plans you want to go for, I'd say you're about 50-50 into Starvo.
So I've been speaking to Joel a bit. So Joel's a good mate of mine. Also an owner over at Plenty of Games. And he's been working on this matchup a fair bit. So one of his plans that he's worked out that he really likes is to go into more of a one-turn kill type strategy.
Yep.
Where he sides in things that create more rune chance. Now, rune chance kind of delay that damage, but you can build them up over a long period of time, with the objective being to then pop off a Skeletor and then have this huge turn, which we saw in the Nationals finals of Viscerai versus Oldhim. But Bravo can pump out a lot of damage.
Yeah, so Bravo is going to be pumping out a lot more at you than Oldhim is, whilst you're building up your rune chance. But I think also in the latest set that's been released, Everfest... are we on, Mike? Just checking.
There you go.
Yep,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool.
Just checking how sound was coming through, and I wasn't talking into a void. In the latest set that was released, Everfest, there are a lot more tools for Viscerai. You've got Runeblood Incantation, which is another rune chant creator. That only costs 1 and gives you rune chance over a few turns. And you've also got Revel in Runeblood, which accentuates your combo turns, as well as Swarming Gloomveil. So I think those new tools for Viscerai are going to definitely mean that Viscerai is a little more powerful than it was in that Nationals final. So even though Bravo Star of the Show is putting out more damage than what Oldhim was, coming back the other way, I think we're going to see a reasonable showing here from Viscerai.
Yeah, so we've got that Bravo Star of the Show up there now, so that people can see that one. Harry on Bravo Star of the Show.
Which we'll colloquially refer to as Starvo.
Yep.
And good morning to Sam Loy on Twitch. Thanks for dropping by.
Yeah, old Sam Lloyd. Thanks for dropping in, Sam. Really appreciate that. Okay, so Bravo Star of the Show, Big Boy versus Viscerai. You mentioned Revel and Runeblood. One of the things that Joel's been speaking to me a little bit about is that sometimes you want to side out the Revel and Runeblood if you're going to go the OTK.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I
It's
feel like
interesting because
Revel
it's
in
one of the
Runeblood
best
is
cards in the deck when you pop off, right? When you do the thing.
yeah. If on your combo turn, if you're playing to your highest potential as a deck, your combo turn is going to involve Mordred Tide into Sonata Arcanix into X.
Yeah.
And if X includes a Revel in Runeblood, then you get 5 rune chance from playing the Revel in Runeblood plus 2 from the Mordred Tide trigger.
So the best turns are going to
Viscerai trigger rather. So your best turn is going to involve that as a 0 cost play.
Yeah.
It's a 0 for 7 on those turns, which is just huge.
Yeah. So we get pretty typical equipment from Joel down the bottom.
Harry's got a Bravo Star of the Show activation on turn 1, so tick up the Tunic, activate Bravo, and then come with the Autumn Star. So it's kind of a pretty standard turn for Bravo. It's not an amazing turn, but I think it's actually perfect in this match as a start for the Starvo player, because you don't want to burn a Crippling Crusher and Oakenold on turn 1. It doesn't do anything because they get to draw back up to 4 anyway. And you'd rather have a dominate attack so you get some damage in, and have it be an Autumn's Touch or a Break Ground or something.
Yeah, and then we'll probably see a hit with the hammer.
Yep, I don't remember what Harry revealed. I can't see the ice card there, but I presume it's probably blue. I think it's an Ice Quake blue. I can't quite see. Yep.
Yeah, and then we'll Arsenal one card.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Joel taking 7. So I think that was a blue Autumn's Touch. And then we've got the Icy Hammer. It's an Icy Encounter that Harry's pitching there. And Joel comes in with the reduced to Rune Chant, so blocking all 4. and creating a rune chant.
Yeah.
So if Joel is on the OTK plan here, that's a good start. Turn 0, creating a rune chant.
Yeah, turn 0, creating a rune chant. Unfortunately, I had to take 7 damage.
Took 7, yeah.
Now, the last 2 cards in hand, Joel decided to not block with either one of those. Why is that, Jesse?
So he could have blocked with 1, because the Autumn Sunshine Dominate. It could be that they are 2 blocks, and they were important for Joel Felt on turn 1. So I presume that one of them wasn't that Oath of the Arknight, because that's something that you probably just block. It blocks for 3, and it's not that important. But it looks like Joel's just pitching to activate Grasp of the Arknight. So it costs 1 more because he already had a rune chant, and then he's arsenaling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure then what Joel was holding in hand.
I reckon it's unmovable. So I reckon it's a defense reaction that costs some resources that Joel didn't have access to. So
Could be, yep.
we're coming in now with a fused Oakenold, it looks like.
So 3, 5... And then reduce the rune chant is 9.
Okay.
So that's a fused Oakenold is 9. But did Harry reveal to Starvo? Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't
so
look
it was
like
just
it.
9. Yep.
Yeah. So
fully blocked the Oakenold and made a rune chant.
Yeah. Seems like a decent turn for Joel. Did have to use the skull cap there.
Yes, which I think is okay. You're happy to use your equipment. You want the game to maybe last 6 or so turns as the Viscerai player here. Like that's your target for when you want to build up to a relatively lethal number of rune chants or a number of rune chants that you want to go off with. And so I think if you can block with one of your equipment every turn or 2, that's fine.
We'll see. Wow, racking it up to 11 rune chants here.
So that's
with,
a huge turn.
Mordred tied into Oath of the Arknight.
Become the Arknight.
Thank you. Pitching the attack to go get
Read the runes.
Read the runes, thank you. Which all of those creating a bunch of rune chants on the way with Viscerai, and then the Read the Runes creating. Is it 6 just by itself?
4, 5, 6. Yep.
Yeah.
So 3 for the base card, plus 1 from the Mordred Tide, and then Viscerai triggers to give you another 1, which gets buffed by the Mordred Tide as well. So we should mention Harry's just revealed 3 cards to Bravo Star of the Show, which means this Crippling Crush is active in terms of the Bravo ability, plus 2 Dominate and Go Again.
It's going for 13 Dominate, Go Again, and if it hits,
then Joel is going to have to discard 2 cards at random. And we've got Thomas Salito dropping in. Many things are happening. That is true. And this is probably one of the most impactful turns in the game. So this is the most powerful card in Harry's deck. Crippling Crush, the most powerful attack, is coming in and threatening Joel's hand with 2 random discards if it deals 4 or more damage. Now the challenge for Joel is he doesn't have an arsenal, so there's no defense reaction there. So he's not able to block the 9 that he needs to, or the 10 that he needs to stop the crush, because he can only block with 1 card from hand. So Joel's opting instead to just take the 13.
Just blocking with his face.
Yep. So, and the reason that you sometimes do that, and Crippling Crush will often seem like you block with 0 or you try and block the crush out, because keeping a 2-card hand is so much better than having a 1-card hand a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So Joel opting to keep 2 cards here and then block the Winter's Wail. So he's going to go down to 1 card anyway, just because he doesn't want to take that extra damage. I guess that's fair enough. I mean, if Harry didn't have the hammer coming in and he opted instead to do something else, like to Arsenal, then Joel gets to have that 2-card hand. So Joel kept his options open, because blocking it on the Crippling Crush didn't do anything different to blocking it on the hammer.
And so, blocking it here, as well as having the more information about what cards are left in hand, knowing, Joel, I'm going to Arsenal this card, and then I'm just going to draw up to 4.
And we should say there, Harry did have an Arsenal. I thought he didn't Arsenal, because if he'd overextended and not had an Arsenal, then I would kind of feel like Joel was in a decent position, because when you're reading life totals in this matchup, Joel has 11 damage sitting there on the board.
Now, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second, because something really important is happening at the end of Joel's turn, which is activating Crown of Seeds, even though it doesn't prevent a damage, with the objective being trying to find the trifecta in order to trigger Starvo. Didn't find the trifecta, and instead has gone with a
Channel Lake Frigid, and didn't follow up with an attack. And Harry's actually really important play there from Harry, kept a Pulse of Eisenloft in hand, which is an Ice Earth card.
Now, what happened there was
He
a
didn't
Channel 8
pitch an ice
Frigid,
card.
but without an ice card. So quite possibly the worst possible turn
Yes.
for Harry there. Like,
So Harry did think, he thought, I want to keep this Ice Earth card in my hand for next turn, but then he forgot that he had to pitch it to keep the Channel Lake Frigid around.
yeah.
So just missing one of his requirements there, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's given Joel an opening here. So Joel's now up to 15 rune chance, and he's got 3 more coming off this Rune Blood incantation in the next 3 turns.
Yeah, so slow drip of 3 on the aura that turns into a rune chant every turn. And we're going to see Joel's just really going to be looking for the Arcanics. At this point, I think that he's got enough at 15. It'll go to 16 next turn.
So the next Arcanics that Joel draws, he's going to be wanting to go off. And Salida's just asking, is the Viscerai deck wanting to spin wheels and then attack once? Yes, that's right. So the combo turn is that he's going to be able to play a card that's going to draw him probably between 5 and 7 cards, attacks. And then he's going to try and do heaps of damage with that. And he's got 15 damage sitting there on the board. That's all going to happen on that turn as well. So Joel's taking a little bit of damage here. It looks like he hasn't found the Sonata, which is his combo card, Sonata Arcanics. So he's gonna, what he needs to do is keep his life total as high as possible now, because he's getting into the danger zone. If he goes below 12, then it's very hard for him to ever tank a turn and keep a 5-card hand for his combo turn. So it looks like taking 2 there on the hammer.
Yeah, no, he blocked
did he
out
block
the hammer.
out the
He blocked
hammer?
out the
Okay.
hammer, and it looks like he's basically just trying to find. Ooh,
Okay, so this is one more big turn. So if he can use, he's still got 5 block remaining on his equipment that's not Spellbound Creepers. If he can use that 5 block this turn and have a Sonata,
Yep.
then this could be a big turn for Viscerai.
So one of the questions that is entering my mind here is, what is in that arsenal that Joel's got there?
Yeah.
So if Joel,
Is it a Mordred type?
Is it a Mordred Tide? Is it an Arcanics? Are we looking for the Arcanics, or are we, or did Joel just see the opportunity to go up to a total of 6, 12, 18, 19 rune chance, 20 next turn? That's a lot of rune chance.
So Harry's effectively on 21 at the moment. That's the important thing to keep in mind, because Joel's got 19 damage sitting on the board that it's going to be very hard for Harry to block, because on the turn that it happens, all this other damage is going to be happening.
Yeah.
So, it's actually really close. Joel's on 14, Harry's effectively on 21.
Yep.
Harry's got another Bravo activation. He's had the last 3 turns, I think he's activated Bravo, other than the Channel Lake Frigid turn, but he had the Pulsive
We do have a little bit of a life total discrepancy here.
Candlehold last turn.
14 versus 13 on Joel's side, and we've sorted that out. On 7, and then I think we're going to see some block with equipment here.
So this could be Grasp of the Arcanite and then Skeleta. Yep.
And we're keeping a 4-card hand plus the 1 card in arsenal.
So could this
we're
be
gonna
a
see
combo
some
turn?
fireworks. We're going to see some fireworks.
So Joel's gone below 10, as we said, but this turn he's kept the 5 cards.
Yeah.
So we're presuming that we're going to be going off here.
Yeah.
So Rune Blood Incantation ticks down, which means we get 1 more Rune Chat at the start of the turn.
Yep. And
so we're up to 20.
we're up to 20. That's so many.
So we've got a Mordred Tide from hand.
Mordred Tide.
Crack the
Then
Skeleta.
we're popping off the Skeleta. And
Sonata
then
from
an
Arsenal.
Arcanics.
Okay.
Oh.
So the Sonata creates 2 more Rune Chants.
Yep.
So it should be on 22. Yep. And we're revealing... So the Sonata's cost is reduced by 10. So Joel gets to play... Its cost is XX. So he gets to play it for X equals 5. So he reveals 5 plus 3 cards.
Okay, so 6, 12, 18, 19, 20. So
No, wait, cost reduced by 20. So he gets to play for X equals 10.
10,
Sorry.
So 10 plus 3
10
is
cards
13.
plus 3. 13 cards. Yep.
13 cards, and it has to hit a split of attacks and non-attacks.
Yep. So the maximum number of cards he can be putting into his hand here is 6, because you're revealing 13 cards.
Yeah.
And that looks pretty good to me. I think it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay,
So he
5
1
cards
defense
in hand.
reaction and 5 non-attack actions, and Joel's going to be putting 5 of these attacks of his choice into his hand and dealing crucially 5 arcane damage as well to Harry.
Yeah.
So the Sonata combo here is both refilling Joel's hand and punching Harry for 5.
Yeah, that is so much. And then we're going to see this Mordred Tide that's already been played just create a ton of rune chants along the way this turn.
So just have a look at those attacks. We've got 2 rune flashes, which is really important because they're going to give go again. They have go again, rather. So they're going to allow Joel to extend the turn. He's then got a Dread Triptych, which is a blue, which he might need for other things. If he's got... Because I think he's still got 1 or 2 cards in hand, which means that they could be non-attacks like Rattlebones that he wants to play. And he's also got the Dread Triptych probably to pay for the Spellbound Creeper's activation, which is going to give him effectively an extra action point. So it's going to mean, I think he's taken a Spellblade Assault there. If that's a red Spellblade Assault, that's going to be creating 3 rune chants because of the Mordred Tide when he attacks with it, and then he can use the Spellbound Creepers to get his action point back, even though the Spellblade Assault doesn't have go again.
Yeah. So, lots of different options here. Harry's going to be looking in his hand, wanting to have a bunch of blues in hand in order to... Because every blue is going to be able to pitch for 3, and with 1 Null Rune Barrier can prevent 3 pings from rune chants. But with 6, 12, 18, 22 at the moment, very unlikely that he'll have 22 resources in hand. In fact, impossible.
Yes.
So some amount of arcane damage is getting through here.
Yeah, and we should say as well, so yeah, that's 22, which are going to pop off. So 2 of those came from the Sonata, but obviously those haven't popped yet because Joel hasn't attacked yet. So they're just sitting there, 22 damage. Pitching a blue and playing a Rattlebones. So the aforementioned, pitching the Dread Triptych to play Rattlebones, what'd I say? And what is Joel going to grab here? It could be a Ninth Blade, I presume, because Joel did block with a Ninth Blade earlier. Yeah. Yeah,
okay, so we have Ninth Blade, which...
9 power attack for free.
9 power attack, free on multiple sources here, because it gets reduced by the number of rune chants, and Skeleta reduces the first attack by the number of rune chants.
Yep, and Joel got an extra action point for playing the Rattlebones. Because Joel dealt arcane damage with the Sonata Arcanix, the Rattlebones gets played as an instant.
That's cool.
Yeah, so this Ninth Blade effectively has go again, or Joel has a spare action point to play it. So he puts Harry from 35... after the Sonata, down to 11 with this one attack.
11. Wow, from 40 life at the start of this turn, and we're already on 11, and Joel has approximately 1 billion cards in hand.
Yep, so Joel's just dished out, 29 damage with this Sonata and the Ninth Blade, and he's now got a bunch more cards left in hand. So the Ninth Blade hadn't even hit yet, so that was just the rune chants.
That was just the rune chants coming in.
Yeah. So the Ninth Blade's now hit, and we stripped 2 cards from Harry's hand. I mean, Harry does still have some equipment, but he's playing a Null Rune, so he's missing out on a bit of block on the boots, but he does have the shield that blocks for 2, and the Crater Fist that blocks for 2. Crown can prevent 1, but it's going to cost him a resource, and he may not want to be pitching this turn.
Yep.
And the Tunic blocks for 1.
Yeah.
But even if Joel doesn't kill Harry this turn, if Harry has to block with his whole hand and his Tunic, Joel's going to be well ahead. Yeah. He's going to be coming back the following turn with Harry on a low life total.
No equipment. And
no cards in hand.
Yeah. So what have we got coming in here from Joel?
We've got a question here from Sam Loy. When does the Mordred Tide generate the rune chants off an attack? So the attack won't pop the rune chants that it generates. So when Joel plays this rune flash, it's going to generate 2 rune chants from Viscerai's ability that will pop on the next attack.
Yeah, so we've got 2 rune chants kind of like in the bank there, and this, was it Rune Flash?
Yep, so Rune Flash is 4 go again.
4 go
and
again.
then we've got Rune Flash for 4 go again.
Yep.
Harry's down to 6, and so we've got 4 physical and 2 arcane coming in here.
Yep, so you see that dice on top of the Rune Flash representing the number of rune chants that is currently coming in along with the attack for 4.
And because the Mordred Tide's active, that Rune Flash is also generating 2 rune chants, which is sitting off to the left of the board there.
So we see a block with the Stalagmite, which creates
a crucial block.
Frostbite token.
Yep.
Super relevant.
Although Joel has 2 resources floating here, and I think so. An Enlightened Strike. So paying 1 for the Enlightened Strike because the Frostbite was active. Enlightened Strike not going to generate rune chants, but it looks like it's coming in for 5 plus 2 rune chants. So Harry's taking 2. Blocking for another 3 and taking 2, going to 1, and then Joel comes in with Rosetta, and that's it. Wow.
40
damage in 1 turn from Joel.
In fact, ending that turn right at the end there because of the the Rosetta Thorn was 4 damage there on 1 life, so blocked out with his entire hand
And all his equipment.
all of his equipment, and ended the turn from 40 down to -3.
With a card in hand for Joel.
With a card in hand.
I think Joel had
it was
one
an
card in
Arsenal.
hand.
Yeah, 1 card left to Arsenal. So that's what we call a big boy turn.
That was really impressive from Joel, and I think when we talked about the matchup at the start, and we were saying if the Viscerai is optimized for either the OTK game plan or the mid-range game plan, and it pulls it off, then it's got a really good chance of winning, and that's exactly what we saw from Joel. I mean, Harry had Bravo activation into Crippling Crush. The game lasted 5 or 6 turns. Harry had Bravo activation to Crippling Crush, Bravo activation turn 1, multiple other Bravo activations.
Yeah, we had a sneaky Oakenold fused that got blocked out.
Yep, and that was really solid with that reduced to Rune Chant, making a big difference. Yeah, it's best of 1 we had, and thanks for the good feedback on the Twitch chat, by the way, guys. Really appreciate that as well. So huge defensive plays from Joel there as well, but I think a really well optimized deck for combating the Starvo game plan, having those reduced to Rune Chants, the other defense reactions, but also executing his game plan.
Yeah. Those reduced to Rune Chants, they get reduced by to play, so they cost 1, but cost X less, where X is the number of Rune Chants you control. So basically free. Blocks for 4, which is above rate, and creates a Rune Chant. So there was some really good reduced to Rune Chants on the Icy Hammer coming in. Which basically said, I'm not going to get a Frostbite token, I'm going to take 0 damage, and I'm going to get a Rune Chant and do my thing. There's also a couple of turns there where that Read the Runes, creating 3 Rune Chants just off the bat, or a Mordred tied into the Read the Runes. Really just, even the turns that it looked like some good things happened from Starvo, Joel just came back with, I'm going to make some Rune Chants, I'm not going to attack you.
And Joel was comfortable. Yeah, Joel was comfortable that his game plan was to do what he did, build up Rune Chants, and then have a Sonata turn. And so he really effectively minimized the damage he was taking, but crucially blocked the disruptive attacks. One of the things against Starvo is if you are playing, if your game plan into it is like Joel's, you're going to take some damage. So take the vanilla damage, take the Autumn's Touch like you did on turn 1, take all those attacks that aren't threatening anything, block the hammers that are disrupting you with Frostbites, and block the discards. And that's what he did.
One of the key things that Joel did as well, which you see him at one point on the Oakenold, blocked with his headpiece.
Skull cap.
So skull cap. But kept the other 4 block. Until the turn that he wanted to combo off.
Yes. Because that was so important. Once his life total was lower, if Harry comes in with a disruptive attack on that turn, rather than just an Autumn's Touch, which I think is what he had, and Joel doesn't have equipment, then Joel just can't Sonata. He just can't combo because the Starvo attack is threatening to strip cards out of his hand. So yeah, as you say, keeping the 4 block on the Grasp of the Arknight and the Bloodsheath Skeletor for that turn was really, really crucial.
And just not being afraid to go down to 14 life.
And can I say as well, amazing choice from Joel to play Grasp, I think, rather than Vexing Quill Hand. Really paid off, and it's such a close call because Vexing Quill Hand, if you're playing OTK, is 2 free Rune Chants from your gloves. It doesn't do anything else, but it amplifies your combo turn. You're basically looking at a whole extra card on Sonata. You're getting 2 extra damage on your combo turn. That's a huge temptation. And to instead go for what I think is the more disciplined play and play the Grasp of the Arknight for the block, worked out really well and actually ended up making Joel a Rune Chant, I think, on turn 1 or 2. Because he didn't have any other plays and he just pitched to the Grasp. So the net loss for him of not playing the Quill Hand was quite low, and the net gain from playing the Grasp was quite high, I think. In terms of blocking.
I reckon we get Joel in and ask him a couple of questions on
I'll let you ask Joel some questions this time. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and Isaac will be chatting to Joel.
Sounds good. See you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. We got the winner here. Isaac Lee on this side, Joel Gibbons on this side. You just take out win number 2, starting the ProQuest off at 2-0. How are you feeling?
Very tired, but
why is that, Josh? Why are you tired today?
I took the Spirit of Tasmania down to Tasmania on Friday night. Played a ProQuest down there yesterday. And then took
So it's
the
about a 7-hour journey across the sea
Yeah.
in order to play a Pro Quest
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, and then an hour bus ride to the Pro Quest, and then played that, and then back again last night, and got in at 8 o'clock this morning.
So 7 hours
straight to the bed.
straight in here.
Yeah.
So you're going to be happy with not much sleep, but still being victorious.
Yeah. No, things worked out pretty well that game, so I can't complain.
Yeah. So tell us about your plan into Starvo. Have you done much like testing into Starvo? Like, did you have a game plan coming in? Like, where was your head at?
Yeah, I've done a lot of testing into Starvo. After many attempts to figure out the matchup, I think the best way is to just OTK. I've tried to play the mid-range or aggro strategy. It just doesn't work. Starvo just does it better than you do. So with disruption as well. So you just got to go that OTK route. Hope that they don't high roll you, and hope that you find the Sonata and make some rune chants before you're dead, and then see if you can have a big boy turn.
Yeah, big boy turn. Okay. So, what are the key cards that you cited in order to have this OTK plan?
So I bring in a small defense reaction package of just the 3 reduced to rune chance and 1 unmovable. Mm-hmm. And I also bring in the yellow read the runes. I'm not playing them as a main board card. They're just a sideboard card that comes in.
Okay, so yellow read the runes is 0 cost, makes 2 rune chance.
Makes 2 rune chance. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, you're just trying to get that rune chant generation as much as you can, as early as you can, sort of thing. So yeah, because it really is a race to find or to try and get to that. I think about 18 rune chance. 16 to 18 is where you really want to be when you go off, and then just pray.
What do you feel about 20?
If you got 20, you're feeling pretty good, especially if it's a Mordred Tide turn as well. So
yeah, so that Mordred Tide, run us through what was going through your head when Harry attacked with that vanilla Autumn's Touch, and you knew that the Winter's Wail was coming in. What were you thinking of that? Because you're on 14 life.
I was celebrating because I knew that I didn't have to block that. I was still at a pretty healthy life total at 14. And I knew that I had the grasp and the chest to block out the Winter's Wail, so I felt very comfortable once that happened. And obviously, I knew I had a Mordred Tide and a Rattlebones turn coming up.
Yep.
Which is pretty much the 2 cards you want on your Sonata turn as well. So
Mordred Tide in your hand.
Yep.
You had Arcanix in your arsenal.
Yep.
And then you had Rattlebones.
Rattlebones and. It might have been in the Lightning Strike.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was an E-Strike. And a blue.
And a blue. Okay. Yeah. So really important there, that Rattlebones getting you the extra action point. So can you run us through, how does that even work? Because like in Flesh and Blood, you get 1 action point per turn. Yeah. Some cards have go again, but what happened with this Rattlebone?
Yeah, so Rattlebones reads, it's a non-attack action, but if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, you can play it as an instant, and because it has go again, that will generate me an extra action point.
Okay, so because you play it as an instant,
yeah,
it doesn't cost an action point.
It does not cost an action point.
And then when you play it, because it has go again, it basically says you get an action point.
Yes, so essentially I get to generate a free action point, which allows me to start that turn off with the 9th Blade. There is argument for doing that turn slightly differently, but I like opening up with the 9th Blade. I just think it's when you're staring down 24 rune chance and 9 physical damage at the start of the turn, it's pretty scary.
With the extra action point there, so
yeah, exactly.
Effectively knowing that you can get in.
Yeah, and I knew I had enough go again and enough blues in my hand to. I was pretty comfortable. I had the damage to push through. Yeah. From like Harry was on 40 at the start of the turn, so but I was
pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I was pretty comfortable that the turn was going to be good enough to get through that damage.
Yeah, cool. All right, so I got one more question. I'm going to see if we can go all the way back to turn 1.
Yep.
So turn 1, Harry's on the play.
Yep.
He triggers Starvo, and then he comes in with a vanilla 7.
Yep, I remember this.
And you chose to just take all 7.
Yeah.
Now, what was in your hand, and run me through the decision to just take that 7?
Okay, so my hand was Mordred Tide, Become the Arc Knight, which is the 2 cards I want in my starting hand when I'm trying to OTK, because that will generate. It's an 8 rune chant hand if you've got an attack action to discard with the Become the Arc Knight, and I had a Reduce to rune chant and an Amplify the Arc Knight red. So my decision was I figured Harry was going to do his 7 attack and then come in with the hammer afterwards.
Yep.
Which I didn't want to get frostbitten, so I figured I'll just pitch my attack action to reduce the rune chain that and take the first hit because I really want to become the Arcanite and the Mordred Tide.
Yep.
But then on my turn I didn't draw an attack action, so that meant I couldn't do my 8 rune generation.
Okay.
So instead I just pitched a blue to make a rune chant, and then I think I just arsenaled the Mordred Tide and then passed the turn.
Okay.
And then I got on my next turn after that I got to make the 8 rune chants and then go from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so last question for you. Any advice for any Viscerai players out there that are hoping to take down the Starvo Menace? What would you suggest to them?
I mean, practice is the number one thing.
Okay, practice. And what are they going to practice?
That's a good question. I think sideboarding's super important. Make sure.
So going into this one-turn kill,
yeah,
and that's where you want to focus the Starvo mirror.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Starvo matchup?
Yeah, you really want to focus around that OTK, because I just in my testing anyway, I found that you just cannot outrace the Starvo. Yeah, so just focus on building up your rune chance, defend where you can, try and preserve your life total.
Yep.
But know when it's time to go as well. Like you just get a feel for it of like, because if you leave it too late, sometimes you actually don't get a chance to have your OT.
Then
your OT
you have to block out because they start getting
yeah,
you
and sometimes you will have games against Starvo where you get 0 to 40 because you just never got your opportunity to go off. So yeah, you really need to just get a feel for it. Know
when to go off. And
and also know when you can actually wait as well. Because I think I could have gone off a turn earlier this game, but I decided I would just have one more turn of making rune chants.
Yeah, you made like an extra 4 or 5 rune chants.
I think I made an extra 3 and then one off the incantation, so four total. Just because I felt like my life total was fairly comfortable.
Yep.
And I still had block on my equipment as well, so I was pretty comfortable that.
Yeah, 5 block plus the creepers if you wanted to. Which
you
never used creepers that game.
I did not. I didn't need to. I mean, it's only really the OTK turn that I need the creepers for when I'm playing the OTK build. So and they weren't needed on the OTK turn.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for giving us this little tutorial on taking down Bravo's Showstopper. And good luck with the rest of the rounds. Hopefully we'll see you in a future feature match.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
All right,
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back in about 10 minutes, I would say, for the next round, depending on the actual round timer. And stay with us. See you soon.